finally, here is the thing we are searching for, new instance. This is how activity gets created. Assalamu alaikum friends, welcome back to the channel. Younes Charfaoui is here, and in this video you are going to see how activities like, for example, this main activity will get created under the hood. So we'll be looking at the Android code source, the official Android code source, to see what is happening under the hood. We will see when an activity gets started and how they call onCreate and so on. You don't have to learn this thing in order to work with Android activities, but it is good to know some information about that. So let's get started. So here I'm having a simple application, just simple application display in Hello World. And we won't start from where this onCreate will get called, because this is a method, right? It will get called. So we will start understanding that. So first of all, let's just put a line here, okay? And let me just run the debugger. So here I'm having this call, onCreate get called from this performCreate get called from this performCreate, and so on until we hit this one. So this is the first line that get called, ZygotInit. So what is this ZygotInit? So always, if you have internet connection, you have Google, so you can search for it. Let's go here. What are ZygotInits? Here is a simple example here. So like that, he's talking about this. So this one, as you say here, during startup Android system, Linux kernel, okay, so it's part of Linux kernel. Init, read the file, okay. Start this program Zygot, load the Java classes, perform initial processing of them. This class can be reused. Okay, so it's part of Linux system, like resources and everything. We don't have to understand 100% everything, just need to have an idea about it. All right, so maybe we'll start looking at this code. So what you have to do is, like, you have here com.android.internet.ios.os, sorry, you can look at this. What you can do, like following com.android. And you put this name of the class, ZygotInit, like that. And here you will get the first line will be the Android Google source. And here you will see some code, almost 1000, yeah, exactly 1000 line. We are calling a method here called main. This is the line 858. So maybe we'll search for that, or maybe we can search for main. So here is the main method. Finally, I got to see where is the main method for Java, because we know that main method is the starting point for any Java program. Now, I won't be looking at the code from this web browser because I can't do that. So maybe why not download the code of Android? Okay, so basically this is like Git for Google, I don't know. So maybe you can go here to the base here, and maybe you can clone this code. I already did that. It's like 1 GB of code. That's a lot of code. I don't know how many lines of code there is here. I already downloaded that, and here is the code. So this is the code of Android. It's a lot of code here. So we will start by going here, ZygotInit, and we will start. So basically, I'm using Sublime text editor. You can use anyone. I will use ZygotInit. Exactly here. I'll be seeing some code here. Let me check. So where is the main? Maybe you can search for it. You can do Control F to search for the main and just find it. Here is main. Maybe I will add like that. Exactly. Here is the main. Now in the main, there is multiple things happening. Like, I don't know, there is this, ensure that this thread, okay, so there is work of thread. Of course, there will be something like threads here. And there is time tracing, runtime init, forking threads. Well, that's something that I really don't have to know. So there is multiple things here. What we will do here is we will check, because this one will start the second one. So I will see from where this runtime init will get called. There is a run here. Maybe if we check a little further, there is something called Zygot server. And in that Zygot server, it is a system server, I think. Exactly, here is the run. We're starting a run here. So from this one, we have run. We can go here, put the cursor here, and maybe wait for that until it gives us exactly. So there is a reference here. Here is the function, how it would fork, prepare the arguments that fork the system server process. Okay, so this thing I don't have to learn about it, but we will just see the code from where it gets one point to another point. All right. So there is this argument thing, there is this apply debugger, all right, I don't care. Runtimes, I got for exactly here, process, wait for, handle system server process. So we are returning this one. If you go here, so here in this function, handle system server process, something will get launched, which is the system server, right? So here there is this function called, where it is, it will try to create system server class loader, and using this one, they can use it in order to launch the ZygotInit here. If you go here, you will see it will get called the runtime application init. Exactly. So this one, runtime init. And within this runtime init, okay, let me check application, find static main. Exactly. because I saw the code earlier to try to check. And here they will call this one method and arg callers. So until this point, we found this line, right? It will invoke it. So they will simply be something like invoking here. If you go to the bottom here, you will see that this will get invoked. Exactly, here is the invoke. So there is a method in which we will invoke some parameter. This thing will get invoked, which is the activity thread, because we are passing the parameter of the class load. So they will launch something called the activity thread. Activity thread. Here, they will launch the main. Launch the main, search for it. Exactly, here is the main. Okay, so we launch this main from this one. As you can see, this main will get launched. So this one will start a looper. If you know about Android looper, so they will prepare some environment, Android OS install, something that you don't know. Looper, exactly, prepare main looper. Here is the main thread will get initialized or something, I don't know main. Exactly, here is the activity thread, which we are talking about. Then there is this looper and there is this loop. The loop will get called. As you can see, this method will get called, the loop. If you go to the loop here directly, let me check the loop here. So this is my looper. Let me check. There is some code here like clear calling identity. I don't know what's doing that. And then there is loop once. Okay, if you check here this loop once, you will find some code. There is some message queue. Don't know, might block. All right, no message indicate. Okay, then here something will happen. Then there is tracing. Then there is message dispatch starting. I think we are searching for a method called dispatch message. Here is dispatch message. So we are passing a message here. What is this message? You can go here and see that there is a message here. So there is this activity thread, target, what, something else. Don't know, maybe we will check those. So let's go here to the dispatch message. If you click here and go to the handler, because this dispatch method you get from handler, right? You go here to the handler. And here in the handler, there is like callback, handle callback. This handle callback will follow that message. Let me check this message. What we are calling handle message, right? So we are passing just the message to handle it. This handle message will get called from where? From the activity thread. So we will go back to the activity thread. Let me check it. Activity thread in order to see how they handle the message. So there is the message what? In order to enter the message, there is normal switch case here. So there is either exit application, receiver, there is a code, right? For this exit application, we will search for it, for example. So there is this previous exit application, okay, previous one. So this is a code, right? We are looping based on what, guys? So if you see, let me just go back here. We are looping on the message what? So we can go to Android and see what we are searching for. This message, there is some items. Here is what? 159. So maybe we can find like this 159. What does it represent? 159, please. 159. Here we go. Execute transaction. I don't know. It's just execute transaction. So we will go to execute transaction here. We'll find what's happening here. So in case of execute transaction, we'll create a transaction object, client transaction, then we will execute it. So here is the execute call. We'll call on transaction executor. That's good. Then transaction recycle and break. Awesome. What will happen is that we will call that execute, right? If you go to that execute, we are calling it from transaction executor. So we search for that. Here it is, transaction executor. So there is this code here. Great. So what we are getting a token for the activity to move it to the binder. There is destroy item. I don't know. So what we are searching here, that we call execute callback. So let me check what you are doing. Exactly, here is execute callback. We will call that, but let me see what you are doing. There is execute lifecycle state. Okay, so this has to do with lifecycle, I think. You can always read the comments here to understand what they're doing, but you don't have, as I said, you don't have to read or understand everything here. We are just trying to get clues on how the activity getting started. Okay, so we must define the objective. All right, we are executing this execute callback. And here there is this callback, I don't know, binder, transaction, get activity client. What we are searching? We are searching for another execute from the launch activity item. Launch activity item, there is an execute, I think. Okay, I think this one, because this item, let me check for this execute. Launch activity item, please. Start with L, exactly here it is. So what we are trying to do here, always tracing thing. First, activity client record, it will get a token, an intent. Okay, that's interesting. Because usually in Android, we start activities using intent. There is no specific thing like using a new main activity or like normal main activity constructor. So we are trying to search for that. Now here, there is handleLaunchActivity. There is this handleLaunchActivity. Exactly, here we are. There is handleLaunchActivity, so we can go for it from the activity thread. And here the fun begins, I think. Extended implementation of activity launch used when server requests launch or relaunch. What is happening here? We are trying to search performLaunchActivity. So what they are doing is schedule GC. Okay, so there is some GC going on, garbage collector, profile info, configuration controller, window manager, graphic environment. So we are starting our activity. Okay, so finally here is the activity, the final activity. So as you can see, they are naming their variable normal A, but since the scope of this variable is too short, you can name it A because you can understand it. But if the scope of the variable is too big, like we are using it in multiple functions, methods, you have to name it accordingly. So A won't hurt, okay? So they don't have to name it like activity or something beautiful. That's simple because as I said, the scope, they're using even R, it's activity client record. Okay, understood. Always when you read code from libraries or this system, you can get a way on how they code things. So we can learn from that. So let's go here to performLaunchActivity. If I click on it, it is defined here. What is happening? We are getting some activity info, right? We are getting that from the activity record. Then if the package info is null, we will get the package info, component name, all right. Intent, we are setting this into the intent. The target activity, if it is null, we'll do that, okay. And finally, I finally get to see it, a context implementation. Because as you know, context is an abstract class. If you go to Android Studio and search for context, so here you'll see it's an abstract class. So you don't know how it is implemented. It is implemented using this one, context implementation. I think there is multiple implementation. Okay, there is multiple implementation, of course. And there is this context implementation. They're creating base context for the activity. That's something. The activity is null here. They're creating it. Then we are trying something. We are getting a class loader. Okay, so they are trying to execute it using Java reflection. So here's the activity equal this thing. So our main thing we are trying to search for is this one. So we will go here to new activity. I think the instrumentation is also presented here, the debug. We search. There is instrumentation. We will find it until call activity onCreate. Let's go to the new activity here. As you can see, we are passing the class name. So it will create it using reflection, as I said. Here is the instrumentation, new activity. Awesome. We are passing the class. And from that class, they are using the class instance. Finally, here is the thing we are searching for, new instance. This is how activity gets created using the reflection. So here then they are just attaching it to the context and thread and something else and token. I don't know what are these things. I think I saw something interesting also here. Yeah, okay. Activity, okay, awesome. Then using this activity, what they are trying to do, the application to make it, okay. Its activity is not null. They try to pass like a title, okay. It makes sense. A window, an app context, okay. So all this thing. But we are searching for the method called call activity onCreate. So this call activity onCreate, let me just do call activity onCreate. So here it is. So if it is persistible, we call activity onCreate with this signature, otherwise with this signature. As you can see, we are calling it from this one, from instrumentation. Let me just go to one implementation of those. Here is how they can create it. Perform create here. I think we saw perform create. Exactly. Finally, we get to perform create. And here they are pre-perform create, post-perform create. So there is work to be done previous, after. Okay, so I will check. I will use this one. From the activity, they are performing the create. And here is the thing. I don't know what are those things. It's normal to don't understand everything, right? This is code. This is the whole Android system, right? So you just need to understand what you are trying to search for. There is window mode, resource has current permission, and finally the onCreate. Here is where the onCreate get called. Finally. So here they will call the onCreate, and from there, this onCreate, they will call, you will start doing the apps. Okay, so you start your super, you are doing something in the activity, then you will set your view for your activity, then you start doing your work. So this is exactly the journey that took the Android activity to get created. This is an awesome thing to learn. So the main thing we try to search for is this one. They are using reflection, as I said, to create the activity with a new instance. That was in a nutshell, not in a nutshell how activity gets created, but I hope you get appreciation of how things like this big system will launch activity in like 10 milliseconds or something else. I will relaunch it here. I'll just made an error, please, sorry. Just relaunch it. As you can see, the blank of line, boom, the activity gets launched. What is that's incredible. Yeah, that's incredible. I hope you understand what I was saying from the beginning. This is, as I said, you don't have to understand all of that in order to work with the onCreate. So we are developers, right? You can read code, you can understand code. If you don't know how this set content view works, just tap into it, see what it's doing inside and so on. As I said, I didn't understand everything here. Like there is this guide, ZygotInit, runtime ActivityThread, like multiple things happening at the same time. Okay, so you can't put all this code into your head, right? Just you have to be comfortable, right? Reading code, what everything is doing, like basic if check, I don't know, reflection is happening here, passing classes, just this thing to understand. So this is what makes great developer, right? They don't afraid from reading code, understanding, and also modifying it. So this is in a nutshell how activity gets created. I hope you understand what I was saying. If you have time, you can go by yourself, check the Android system, look how everything works. I don't know if you are, as I said, if you want to see how this content view works, you can go to the code, read it, understand it, and basically work with it. So this is it for this long video. I hope you enjoyed at least a little bit on how this activity gets created. Thanks a lot for watching this video to the end. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and see you in the next videos. Bye.